Across the country, the cost of simply existing has taken on a new weight. Groceries that once felt like a quiet part of the weekly rhythm now arrive with a little hesitation. Rents that used to reset gently from year to year feel sharper, quicker. And the monthly budget, that small space where many families once found a sliver of comfort, has tightened into something far less forgiving. Most national conversations focus on a few familiar cities, but the deeper story is happening elsewhere. In entire states where affordability has shifted beneath people's feet. Maybe you're renting and watching your lease rise by hundreds of dollars overnight. Maybe you're planning for retirement and wondering whether your savings will stretch as far as you hoped. Or maybe you're simply trying to stay put in the place you love, even as utilities, insurance, and housing edge higher every season. So today, we're stepping back from the noise. We're looking closely at 10 U.S. states where cost pressures are rising faster than wages, faster than available housing, and faster than most households can comfortably absorb. We'll explore the forces behind it: supply and demand swings, insurance spikes, aging infrastructure, migration waves, all grounded in data from Zillow, Redfin, Census sources, and state economic reports. This isn't a search for blame, it's a search for clarity. A chance to understand the landscape so you can plan your next move, or simply feel steadier in the one you've already made. And stay with me to the end. The number one state carries a lesson that touches every one of us. If peaceful, grounded real estate storytelling speaks to you, subscribing truly helps. At number 10, we arrive in Arizona, where desert beauty meets a housing market that's heating far faster than wages. It's a place shaped by red rock horizons, long golden sunsets, and a pace of growth that few states have been able to match or manage in recent years. Arizona's appeal is undeniable: warm winters, wide open space, and steady job creation in tech, healthcare, and logistics. But that same appeal has pushed affordability into a tighter corner. Today, the median home price sits around $435,000, Zillow 2026 est, a figure that has climbed sharply since 2020. Rents for a modest 1 or 2 bedroom hover between $1,450 and $1,850, and even everyday costs, utilities, insurance, basic services, run slightly above the national average. For remote workers, retirees chasing sunshine, and anyone drawn to the outdoors, the state still offers a compelling lifestyle. Low property taxes in many counties help soften the edges. But Arizona's challenge is its speed. Migration inflow has outpaced new inventory. Insurance pressures have risen in step with climate concerns. And underlying all of it, water scarcity casts a long shadow over long-term planning, from suburban development to simple backyard landscaping. Still, the landscape has its own quiet pull. Scenic living here isn't a concept, it's daily life. The canyons, the desert trails, the mountains tucked just beyond the city grid create a feeling of space even when the market feels tight. Picture a quiet morning in Mesa, where the sky glows a gentle pink over tidy stucco rooftops, even as rent notices on apartment doors tell a harder story underneath. At number 9, we reach Colorado, a place where mountain dreams collide with some of the fastest rising housing costs in the West. It's a state that has long promised a certain kind of American ideal: clean air, rugged trails, vibrant cities framed by peaks that make even ordinary days feel cinematic. But beauty, as Colorado has learned, comes with demand. And demand has pushed affordability right to the edge. The median home price now hovers around $570,000, Zillow 2026 est, with rents in many communities landing between $1,700 and $2,200. The cost of living runs about 10 to 15% above the national average, shaped by everything from high-demand school districts to the simple limits of building on mountainous terrain. Migration from coastal states, strong tourism economies, and a limited supply of flat, developable land have all kept pressure high. For outdoor seekers, remote workers with stable incomes, and households earning on the higher end of the spectrum, Colorado still offers a remarkable quality of life. Trails are minutes away, remote work infrastructure is strong, and natural beauty isn't something you escape to, it's the backdrop of the entire week. But the trade-offs grow louder each year. Mountain towns are priced far beyond what local wages can support, pushing essential workers into longer commutes. Even suburban neighborhoods, once considered the attainable middle ground, now see bidding wars for homes that would have sat quietly on the market just a decade ago. Imagine an evening in Boulder, the Flatirons turning gold in the last light, while a young family loads moving boxes into a hatchback because their rent jumped again. At number 8, Oregon shows how quickly a state can shift when supply can't keep up with the people who want to call it home. This is a place known for quiet forests, dramatic coastlines, and the kind of natural serenity that feels almost protective. Yet beneath that calm exterior, everyday costs have been rising in ways that touch nearly every household, from lifelong residents to newcomers drawn by the state's creative, outdoor-centered lifestyle. The median home price now sits around $520,000, with rents typically ranging between $2,600 and $2,100. The cost of living runs about 12% above the national average, driven not just by housing, but by higher utility rates, increasing insurance premiums, and grocery prices that reflect long-term supply constraints. Oregon's housing shortages stretch across nearly every region, from Portland's historic neighborhoods to small timber towns still recovering from industry shifts. For nature lovers, remote creatives, and retirees seeking mild coastal or valley climates, Oregon still offers a lifestyle that's hard to replicate. Trails, rivers, and scenic highways weave through everyday routines. Walkable neighborhoods and strong cultural amenities give even small towns a sense of texture and warmth. But the trade-offs are real. New inventory has lagged behind demand for years. Insurance costs are inching upward, and the simple act of keeping a pantry stocked or a home warm through winter now comes with a noticeably higher bill. Picture coastal fog rolling through Newport, softening the edges of the fishing boats as they rest in harbor, while families sit around kitchen tables, debating whether to renew a lease that climbed far beyond what their budget can carry. At number 7, New York reminds us that cost of living pressure doesn't stay in the city, it spreads outward. This is a state where affordability challenges now ripple far beyond Manhattan's skyline, touching mid-sized towns, quiet suburbs, and communities that once felt safely insulated from big city economics. The story here isn't just about New York City anymore. It's about the widening reach of rising costs. The median home price sits near $455,000, with rents drifting between $1,700 and $2,400 depending on the region. Statewide cost of living averages run high, shaped by transportation expenses, insurance pressures, and the weight of aging infrastructure that's increasingly costly to maintain. Even areas upstate, long considered the budget-friendly alternative, have seen inventory tighten and prices climb as more households search for workable, walkable communities outside the 5 boroughs. Yet New York remains a place of undeniable richness. Its economic diversity stretches from finance to farming, tech corridors to arts communities. Transit networks connect cities and towns in ways few states can match, and its healthcare systems remain among the strongest in the country. For urban professionals, multi-generational households, and people who thrive on culture and history, New York still offers a sense of possibility. But the trade-offs demand attention. Property taxes in many counties have surged far faster than wages. Renter burden, the percentage of income spent on housing, is among the highest in the nation, reshaping budgets and long-term plans for families across the state. Imagine a snowy evening in Albany, light pooling under street lamps as flakes drift across parked cars, while a family sits at their dining table, running the numbers again, wondering how to make next year work. At number 6, Nevada reveals what happens when a state grows faster than its housing can adjust. For years, Nevada offered a kind of financial breathing room, a warm, sunlit alternative to the West Coast's rising prices. But a migration boom, especially from neighboring California, transformed the market almost overnight, reshaping what affordability looks like from Las Vegas to Reno. Today, the median home price sits near $445,000, while rents for a typical 1- or 2-bedroom range from $1,400 to $1,900. The overall cost of living now rests slightly above the national average, with utilities climbing steadily in desert climates where cooling isn't optional. Low housing inventory and increasing insurance costs in certain regions have added another layer of pressure. Still, Nevada remains deeply appealing. Retirees appreciate the no state income tax, while remote professionals find flexibility in communities that have grown more connected and service-rich. The state's entertainment and tourism economy continues to create jobs, and winter here arrives gently, more sweater weather than snow shovel. But the trade-offs are impossible to ignore. Home prices have surged since 2020, far outpacing local wage growth. Insurance markets are tightening, and many longtime residents now face the uncomfortable math of rising expenses in a place they once saw as comfortably affordable. Picture dusk settling over the Las Vegas suburbs, the desert turning a muted lavender as porch lights blink on, and for sale signs multiply faster than buyers can afford them. At number 5, Hawaii illustrates the sharpest divide between local wages and the cost of simply living. Few places in America carry such breathtaking beauty or such heavy financial strain. For longtime residents, the islands are home in the deepest sense. Familiar beaches, family gatherings, traditions that anchor daily life. But paradise here carries a price that many households can no longer shoulder with ease. The median home price now rests around $850,000, while rents often fall between $2,000 and $2,900. The cost of living remains among the highest in the country, shaped by limited land, high shipping expenses, and a steady stream of second home demand that keeps competition sharp. Even basic necessities, groceries, utilities, transportation, land noticeably above mainland averages, stretching paychecks that haven't risen at the same pace. For high-income earners and remote workers with wide flexibility, the islands still offer a lifestyle that feels almost otherworldly. Ocean trails at dawn, open-air markets, and a cultural richness that invites slower, healthier rhythms throughout the week. It's a place where nature isn't a weekend escape. It's part of the air, the food, the cadence of everyday life. But the trade-offs tell a quieter truth. Housing is deeply mismatched with local wages, pushing many families into multi-generational setups or difficult relocation decisions. And the cost of essentials, from electricity cooled by ocean winds to milk shipped thousands of miles, adds up in ways that reshape even careful budgets. Picture the ocean glowing at sunset, soft light moving across the waves, as longtime residents gently scroll through mainland listings, wondering whether the life they love is still one they can afford. At number 4, Florida shows how rising insurance and rapid population growth can shift affordability in just a few years. For decades, the state represented a warm weather haven, a place where retirees could stretch their savings, where remote workers could trade long winters for palm-lined mornings, and where families could find a gentler rhythm of life near the water. But in recent years, the pressure has grown sharper, reshaping the financial landscape in ways few expected. The median home price now sits near $410,000, and rents often range between $1,700 and $2,300. Even in communities once considered comfortably affordable. The broader cost of living continues to rise, driven largely by property insurance spikes and climate-related adjustments that ripple through nearly every county. Rapid migration has only added to the demand, tightening inventory and lifting prices in both coastal regions and inland cities. For many, Florida still carries unmistakable appeal. No state income tax, a strong job market, and a coastal lifestyle that feels like a daily invitation to slow down. The sunshine, the boardwalks, the waterways. They're part of what makes the state feel open and welcoming. But the trade-offs have grown more difficult to ignore. Insurance increases are pricing some households out entirely, forcing tough decisions at renewal time. Rental costs, once relatively stable, now climb quickly in both metro areas and quiet suburban pockets. Even long-term residents are recalculating what their budgets can bear. Imagine a humid evening in Tampa, the air heavy and familiar, as another insurance renewal letter slips through the mail slot, this one nearly triple last year's cost. At number 3, California stands as the clearest example of how high costs reshape entire life paths. Few places in the world offer such a powerful mix of opportunity, climate, and cultural energy. And few places demand so much in return. This is a state where ambition thrives, where ideas take shape quickly, and where affordability, for many households, bends sharply in the opposite direction. The median home price now sits around $770,000, with rents commonly landing between $2,200 and $3,200. The cost of living is among the highest in the country, shaped by decades of intense demand, complex zoning constraints, wildfire insurance pressures, and the economic gravity of major urban centers. Even families earning solid middle-class incomes often find themselves squeezed by housing shortages and high transportation costs. Yet California remains a place of extraordinary possibility. Its innovation ecosystem, from tech to entertainment to renewable energy, is the strongest in the nation. The weather alone feels like a subtle promise: mild winters, ocean breezes, and long stretches of sun. And the state's cultural and geographic variety means you can live near vineyards, mountains, beaches, or art districts, all without crossing a border. But the trade-offs define the lived reality for millions. Homeownership drifts out of reach for many long-term residents. Commutes grow longer as people move farther from job centers in search of something affordable. And taxes, layered across income and living costs, add weight to every decision about staying or leaving. Picture a hazy morning on the 405, headlights sliding through the smog-softened light, as commuters sit with the same quiet question: whether the life they've built here is still a life they can afford. At number 2, Massachusetts shows what happens when world-class education meets limited housing supply. This is a state built on intellect, innovation, and deep historic character, but also one where affordability has tightened for families, new graduates, and lifelong residents who once felt securely rooted. The opportunities here are remarkable, yet the cost of staying close to them continues to rise. The median home price now sits around $610,000, with rents typically falling between $2,000 and $12,800. The overall cost of living sits well above the national average, shaped by a strong job market, limited buildable land, and a relentless demand for top-tier school districts. Every corner of the state feels the squeeze in its own way, from suburban bidding wars to college towns where vacancy rates barely move. And still, Massachusetts offers something rare. Its healthcare systems rank among the best in the country. Wages, especially in professional fields, remain high. Historic towns are walkable, full of character, and stitched with traditions that stretch back centuries. For academics, healthcare workers, and professionals who thrive in knowledge-driven communities, the state can feel like a place where purpose and place fit together naturally. But the trade-offs are significant. Homeownership drifts out of reach for many younger residents. Childcare and transportation costs weigh heavily on household budgets. Even small commutes can become logistical puzzles as more people compete for homes near major job centers. Picture a chilly Cambridge morning, steam rising from coffee cups as cyclists roll past brick sidewalks, while renters sit at their kitchen tables, refreshing listings again, hoping for something, anything, that fits the budget. At number 1, New Jersey shows the full weight of what happens when housing, taxes, and everyday expenses all rise at once. This is a state shaped by its proximity to New York, close enough to feel the city's pull, yet independent enough to shoulder its own economic pressures. For many households, New Jersey has long been the place where you could find strong schools, tree-lined neighborhoods, and an attainable commute. But those same strengths have now pushed affordability into increasingly fragile territory. The median home price sits around $500,000, while rents for a typical 1- or 2-bedroom often land between $900 and $2,600. The cost of living ranks among the highest in the country, shaped by property taxes that consistently top national lists, paired with rising insurance and utility expenses that make even well-planned budgets feel tight. Local demand remains intense, especially in commuter-friendly counties where inventory is limited and competition rarely slows. For commuters, multi-generational households, and higher-income earners, New Jersey still offers a practical blend of opportunity and community. Transit access is excellent, school districts are some of the strongest in the region, and proximity to major job markets continues to anchor entire neighborhoods with stability and purpose. But the trade-offs define the moment. Property taxes weigh heavily, year after year. Rents are increasing faster than wage growth. And many families, even those with solid incomes, now find themselves reassessing what long-term affordability looks like. Picture a quiet Sunday morning on a leafy suburban street, sunlight catching the edges of parked cars, as families sit inside around breakfast tables, quietly wondering whether they can afford one more year here. Rising costs aren't just numbers on a page. They shape the tempo of daily life. They determine where families put down roots, where young adults begin their stories, and where retirees search for steady ground. In every state we've explored, the same quiet tension appears, the longing to belong set against the strain of keeping up. And beneath it all sits a simple, human question. What kind of life feels sustainable anymore? New Jersey tops this list not because it lacks opportunity or quality of life, but because it captures the complicated reality so many Americans are living through. Here is a state where wages can be strong, schools can be exceptional, and communities can feel deeply rooted, yet the math still refuses to cooperate. That quiet disconnect between a good life and an affordable one has become one of the defining cost of living stories in the country. In New Jersey, the pressure isn't just about home prices. It's property taxes inching upward year after year, outpacing household income. It's insurance premiums adjusting to a changing climate. It's utility bills tied to aging infrastructure that's costly to maintain. It's rents rising not because people are earning more, but because space is limited and demand never truly eases. Layered together, these pressures reshape daily life until even longtime residents feel the ground shifting beneath what once felt stable. But the truth is, this isn't only New Jersey's story. It's a mirror held up to the entire nation. Behind every rising chart and every percentage point is a universal question, not how much does it cost, but what kind of life can I realistically build here? Whether you're preparing for retirement, searching for a town where your family can grow, weighing a remote work move, or simply trying to carve out a little breathing room, understanding these pressures brings clarity instead of panic. It turns the decision-making process into something deliberate, something grounded. And that's the real insight. Affordability isn't a single number. It's a lived experience, shaped month by month, bill by bill, choice by choice. And it determines not just where you live, but how your life feels once you're there. Today, we traveled through 10 states where affordability has slipped out of balance, places where rising costs are slowly reshaping what the idea of home truly means. These states aren't difficult or undesirable places. Many offer extraordinary beauty, opportunity, culture, and community. But they also reveal something deeper: the widening space between the life people hope to build and the budget they're trying to build it with. If one of these states surprised you, or if it reflects your own experience, you're in familiar company. Millions of Americans are navigating the same questions, the same pressures, the same quiet hopes for stability, and a future that feels sustainable. Which place spoke to you, and why? Sometimes a single detail, a rent increase, a tax bill, a sunset over a neighborhood you love, is enough to shift the way you see the landscape around you. If you'd like more calm, grounded, real-world explorations of American living, subscribe for more peaceful, data-backed stories of place and possibility. For real-world escapes, not fantasies.